People of the world, welcome to Send It Rising, social media news, and a million other things. Google Chrome rival Brave reports another big jump in users' privacy is on the top of the priority list for many fossil fuel firms. Among biggest spenders on Google Ads, they're basically saying, hey, look, we're going to be net zero by 2050, but are they really doing anything about it? We'll dive in. Google is going to pay their top executives $1 million each per year when they declined to boost the pay of many of their non-executive workers. There was an inflationary raise that they were supposed to give. They didn't. We will dive into that. France hits Google with a $170 million fine and Facebook with a $68 million fine over a cookie consent dark pattern. What does that mean? Basically, they're not giving people the access to say no to data tracking and cookies. We'll dive into that. And finally, the sister of a slain federal officer is suing Facebook, accusing social media company Facebook of promoting violent content and connecting alleged killers online. So let's dive into the news. Fossil fuel firms among biggest spenders in Google Ads. So what do these ads look like from companies like Exxon, etc., Shell, Armco, McKinsey? They basically look like, is gas a fossil fuel? All you need to know about gas. Or Shell, learn more today about our green new initiatives, Shell Net Zero, climate targets, etc. Now, the thing about this is when you look at impressions of these ads, let's say very few people click on them. That's totally fine for a company like Exxon because this is a PR push. They have all the money in the world. And so it is entirely possible that they are doing this in order to simply change people's minds about their pathway to net zero. According to Shell, this quote, despite its highly ambitious framing, Shell's vision of a continued role for oil, gas, and coal until the end of the century remains essentially the same. That's from a Carbon Brief analysis. This article is from theguardian.com. All links to all articles are right there in the description. A spokesperson for Shell said, quote, Shell's target is to become a net zero emissions energy business by 2050, in step with society. Our short, medium, and long-term intensity and absolute targets are consistent with the more ambitious 1.5 Celsius goal of the Paris Agreement. But again, we're looking at PR as far as I can tell. And because they're spending just a ludicrous amount on Google ads, you've got to wonder, isn't that money better spent on actually solving the problem? In other news, Google Chrome rival Brave reports another big jump in users. People want their privacy and they want it now. Brave, the Chromium-based and privacy-focused browser, has 50 million monthly active users. This from zdnet.com. So to put this in a little bit of perspective, Google has billions of active users on Chrome. But that being said, Brave had 1.2 million when it launched in 2016. Massive growth there. Privacy is a big deal. If privacy matters to you, DuckDuckGo, Brave, browsers like this are some that you may want to check out. Google is going to pay its top executives $1 million each after declining to boost workers' pay. This, of course, is an outrage. These four top executives, we know this because of an SEC filing, went from $650,000 a year, which I know is a poverty wage, up to $1 million a year after it told staffers that they wouldn't automatically adjust salaries for inflation. This, of course, is absolutely ridiculous. According to TheVerge.com, Google has been very financially successful as of late. It posted its fifth quarter in a row of record profits, and yet here we go. They are not going to give an inflationary raise. To me, this is, in fact, preposterous. France is hitting Google with a $170 million fine, Facebook $68 million over cookie consent dark patterns. What the heck does that even mean? They've been fined this dollar amount for breaching French law. I've talked about this at length on the show, where individual governments are fighting against these gigantic multinational corporations, because that's really the only way to do it. There is not a one world government, and yet there are these multinational companies. It is interesting to me that there is no global entity that can say this isn't okay on a global scale. Individual countries have to fight against these global entities. The regulator said it was acting after receiving a lot of complaints So it's a breach of EU and French law. They found the pair do not offer an option for users to reject non-essential cookies as easily as the option they offer for them to accept all tracking. So basically, it's incredibly easy to accept. It's very difficult to get rid of it. Have you noticed that? Have you tried to cancel something nowadays? Some sort of subscription service? There's like 9 tabs you have to click through. Are you sure you want to cancel? How about now? How about now? This sort of nonsense. Here is an illustrative snippet. Quote, the information given by the company is not clear since in order to refuse the deposit of cookies, internet users must click on a button entitled Accept Cookies, displayed in the second window. It considered that such a title necessarily generates confusion. Of course it does. And that the user may have the feeling that it is not possible to refuse the deposit of cookies and that they have no way to manage it. I've felt this way a million times. Have you? So they're getting hit with these fines. Final story of the show. Sister of slain federal officer sues Facebook, accusing social media company of promoting violent content and connecting alleged killers online. I will not lie to you. I don't know much about the Boogaloo extremist movement, but they are the criminals that have, quote, not a random act of violence enacted, but instead, quote, the culmination of an extremist plot hatched and planned on Facebook by 2 men. So basically, this wrongful death lawsuit's filed in California by a woman named Angela Underwood, and they're basically saying that the Federal Protective Services officer, who they are related to, was shot and killed outside of this building, and it was planned, and it was planned on Facebook. Who's liable, right? Facebook and companies like them, when people hatch plots like this, can be held liable. And so we shall see. From CNN.com, it comes on the heels of revelations last year from former Facebook employee Frances Haugen that Facebook has consistently chosen to maximize profit over growth and public safety. So this has been a long-standing complaint against Facebook. Nothing new here. In a statement, Facebook spokesperson Kevin McAllister noted that the platform had, quote, banned more than 1,000 militarized social movements from the platform. So it just goes to show that you can do a lot of the work to try to prevent people like this, but it is not easy to do. So let's summarize the social media news of the day. If you've made it this far in the episode, oh, I love you. Please do swing by youtube.com/SendItRising, hit that like button and subscribe. Google Chrome rival Brave reports another big jump in users, up to 50 million. Privacy matters. Fossil fuel companies are spending a lot of money to appear in Google search. Even if you don't click on the ad, they're still branding. They're still saying, hey, look, we want to be net zero. They're trying to get inside of your head to make you feel better about oil and gas. Google will pay top executives $1 million after declining to boost workers' pay. Absolutely ridiculous. $60,000 to $150,000 is so much money per year. Do you really need $1 million? And you're going to talk to your employees and say that they don't deserve raises? Ridiculous to me. France is just one more country in the long list of countries that is hitting Google, Facebook, and other multinational social media companies with fines as they break privacy law. And finally, is Facebook liable for the death of this particular security officer? We will see what the courts say. They have done work to try to stop this sort of thing. Have they done enough? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for swinging by the show today. If you go to youtube.com/SendItRising, you'll see that the production value has gone up for these kinds of shows. I'm going to be doing a different model, a 3-camera model, and so you'll see that the quality on the video side is much better. If you're listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other podcast platforms that we are currently a part of, thank you so much. Love you. Proud of you. We'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.